What if the history of Christianity that we've been told for centuries isn't history at all, but a carefully crafted narrative designed to consolidate power? What if the story of Jesus, the apostles, and the rise of the early church was less about divine truth and more about political propaganda? This brings us to one of the most influential, yet controversial figures in Christian history, Bishop Eusebius of Caesarea. Eusebius is often celebrated as the father of church history, the man who preserved early Christian writings and chronicled the growth of the church. But beneath this polished image lies a more complicated and, some would argue, darker reality. Eusebius wasn't just a historian, he was a propagandist, working to legitimize the church's newfound alliance with the Roman Empire under Constantine. His writings weren't about recording objective truths, they were about shaping a narrative that would secure Christianity's dominance. During a time of profound transformation, when Christianity went from being a persecuted sect to the official religion of the empire, Eusebius played a pivotal role. He didn't just document history, he created it, leaving out inconvenient facts, exaggerating certain events, and painting Constantine as a divinely chosen savior. He openly stated that truth wasn't always the goal. Sometimes falsehoods could serve the greater good of faith. This isn't just a historian writing about history, it's a propagandist rewriting it. Today we're going to peel back the layers of Eusebius's legacy. We'll explore how his work shaped Christianity as we know it, why he selectively told the story of the early church, and how his writings continue to influence religion even today. By the end, you'll see why Eusebius might not be the hero history paints him to be, but the architect of one of the most enduring religious narratives in history. To understand why Bishop Eusebius's work became so pivotal, we need to explore the world in which he lived, a world on the brink of massive transformation. Christianity was no longer just a persecuted minority, it was becoming a central force in the Roman Empire. And Eusebius was right at the heart of this shift. In the early 4th century CE, the Roman Empire was fractured, with emperors fighting for control. Enter Constantine the Great, a military general who, in 312 CE, defeated his rival Maxentius at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. According to legend, Constantine had a vision before the battle, a vision of the Christian cross with the words, "In this sign, conquer." After his victory, Constantine declared his support for Christianity, setting the stage for its rise to prominence. Constantine wasn't just a religious convert, he was a shrewd politician. He saw Christianity as a tool to unify his empire, which was divided by religious and cultural tensions. By aligning himself with the church, Constantine could harness the loyalty of a growing Christian population while solidifying his rule. Before Constantine's rise, Christians had endured centuries of persecution under Roman rule. They were scapegoated for disasters, accused of subversion, and targeted for their refusal to worship Roman gods. But Constantine's conversion marked a turning point. With the Edict of Milan in 313 CE, Christianity was officially tolerated and its followers were no longer hunted. They were now favored. For the first time, the Christian church had the support of imperial power. This newfound alliance gave the church the resources and authority it needed to expand rapidly. But with power came new challenges. How would the church present itself as both a spiritual authority and a political institution? How would it reconcile the diverse beliefs and practices within early Christianity? This is where Eusebius of Caesarea comes in. Born around 260 CE, Eusebius lived through the tail end of the Roman Empire's persecution of Christians and the dawn of Constantine's reign. He became the Bishop of Caesarea in Palestine, a position that gave him access to vast libraries of theological texts and historical records. Eusebius wasn't just a bishop, he was a scholar, writer, and close ally of Constantine. Eusebius saw his role as more than just preserving Christian history. He saw it as shaping the narrative of Christianity's rise. He believed that the church's story needed to reflect its divine destiny, its victories over persecution, and its role as the chosen faith of the empire. To accomplish this, he wrote extensively, producing works like the Ecclesiastical History, the Life of Constantine, and Preparatio Evangelica. Eusebius wasn't a neutral historian. His writings were deeply influenced by his loyalty to Constantine and his desire to present Christianity in the best possible light. For example, in the Life of Constantine, Eusebius portrayed the emperor as a divinely inspired ruler, chosen by God to lead the church. He downplayed Constantine's flaws and glossed over controversies, painting a picture of a perfect Christian emperor. But Eusebius's agenda didn't stop with Constantine. In his ecclesiastical history, he carefully curated the story of early Christianity, emphasizing martyrdom, miracles, and divine intervention, while ignoring or suppressing accounts of internal disputes and theological diversity. For Eusebius, the goal wasn't to record history as it happened, it was to create a history that served the church. Eusebius lived at a time when the church was transforming from an underground movement to the official religion of an empire. This transformation required a narrative, a story that could inspire believers, justify the church's authority, and legitimize its alliance with Constantine. Eusebius provided that narrative. His work wasn't just about documenting the past, it was about shaping the future. By presenting Christianity as a unified, divinely guided movement, Eusebius helped establish the foundation for the church's dominance in the centuries to come. But how did Eusebius achieve this? What methods did he use to craft the narrative of Christianity's rise? And what truths did he sacrifice along the way? Eusebius blended history and propaganda, becoming not just the father of church history, but also its most influential spin doctor. Eusebius didn't just write history, he actively shaped which stories of Christianity would be remembered and which would be erased. During his time, early Christianity was not the unified faith portrayed in his writings. Instead, it was a diverse and often fractured movement, with numerous sects offering competing interpretations of Jesus' teachings and mission. By suppressing alternative narratives, Eusebius played a key role in establishing what would become Orthodox Christianity. One of the most notable aspects of Eusebius's work is his dismissal of Gnostic Christianity. The Gnostics, a significant sect in early Christianity, emphasized personal spiritual knowledge over institutional authority. They believed in a dualistic worldview, where the material world was corrupt and salvation came through understanding divine truths. Eusebius, however, ignored or outright condemned their texts and teachings, labeling them as heretical and unworthy of preservation. This dismissal extended to other sects as well, including the Ebionites, who viewed Jesus as a human prophet rather than a divine figure, and the Marcionites, who rejected the Old Testament entirely. By excluding these perspectives from his histories, Eusebius reinforced the idea that there was only one true version of Christianity, a version that aligned with the emerging orthodoxy supported by Constantine and the church hierarchy. Eusebius's suppression of alternative narratives wasn't limited to his writings. He played a key role in supporting the decisions made at early church councils, such as the Council of Nicaea in 325 CE. These councils were convened to resolve theological disputes, but they also served as opportunities to define orthodoxy and marginalize dissenting views. Eusebius's historical accounts provided the justification for many of these decisions, ensuring that his version of Christianity became the dominant one. The destruction of competing texts was another way in which alternative narratives were silenced. Early Christian leaders, often citing heresy, destroyed or banned writings that contradicted the official version of events. The Gnostic Gospels, for example, were hidden away in places like Nag Hammadi, where they remained undiscovered for centuries. Eusebius's works, on the other hand, were widely copied and distributed, becoming the foundation for the church's understanding of its history. By controlling the narrative, Eusebius and his contemporaries effectively erased the diversity of early Christianity from the historical record. This wasn't just about preserving orthodoxy, it was about consolidating power. A unified church with a single narrative was easier to control and more appealing to an empire seeking stability. Eusebius's suppression of alternative narratives had profound implications for the future of Christianity. By defining what was considered orthodox and erasing what was not, he shaped the way billions of people would understand their faith. His work ensured that dissenting voices were not only marginalized but forgotten, leaving us with a version of history that is as much a product of political ambition as it is of religious devotion. One of Eusebius's most significant contributions to the Christian narrative was his use of Old Testament prophecies to validate the divinity of Jesus. By presenting Jesus as the fulfillment of ancient Jewish prophecies, Eusebius helped construct a narrative that positioned Christianity as the natural continuation of Judaism. This approach wasn't merely theological, it was strategic. It allowed Christianity to claim a divine legitimacy that could appeal to both Jewish and Gentile audiences. In his writings, Eusebius emphasized how specific Old Testament texts, such as those in Isaiah and Psalms, predicted Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. For example, passages like Isaiah 7:14, which speaks of a virgin giving birth, were reinterpreted by early Christian leaders, including Eusebius, to point directly to Jesus. However, this reinterpretation involved a significant departure from the original context of these scriptures, which were written centuries earlier and addressed immediate concerns of their time. Eusebius also promoted the idea that the suffering servant described in Isaiah 53 was a direct prophecy of Jesus' crucifixion. This connection was not universally accepted among Jewish scholars of the time, many of whom interpreted the passage as referring to Israel itself or to a specific historical figure. Eusebius, however, framed the text in a way that made it seem like a clear and undeniable prediction of Jesus' sacrifice. Beyond prophecy, Eusebius also worked to fabricate continuity between Jewish traditions and the life of Jesus. He claimed that Jesus' actions, teachings, and miracles aligned perfectly with Jewish expectations of the Messiah, even when those expectations were far more complex and varied than his writings suggest. By narrowing the scope of what a Messiah could mean, Eusebius created a cohesive narrative that aligned with the theology of the emerging Orthodox Church. The problem with this approach is that it often involved bending or even ignoring historical and textual evidence. Many of the so-called prophecies cited by Eusebius and other early Christian leaders were originally written in contexts that had nothing to do with a future Messiah. For instance, the Hebrew word Alma, meaning young woman, was translated as virgin in the Septuagint, creating a false connection to the virgin birth narrative. Eusebius leaned heavily on these mistranslations to bolster the divine claims about Jesus. Eusebius also framed the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE as evidence of God's judgment on the Jewish people for rejecting Jesus. This interpretation furthered the narrative that Christianity had replaced Judaism as the true faith. By positioning Christianity as the fulfillment of Jewish prophecy, Eusebius helped establish a theological foundation that justified the Church's growing authority and influence. The deliberate use of prophecy in Eusebius's works wasn't just about convincing skeptics. It was about creating a narrative that could unify the Church and attract converts. By linking Jesus to ancient Jewish texts, Eusebius gave Christianity a sense of historical depth and inevitability, making it appear as though it was always part of God's plan. This strategy, while effective, raises important questions about historical integrity. Were these prophecies truly fulfilled, or were they retroactively applied to Jesus' life to legitimize his role as the Messiah? By selectively interpreting Scripture and presenting it as incontrovertible proof, Eusebius blurred the line between faith and fact, creating a narrative that has endured for centuries. The legacy of this approach is still felt today. Many modern Christians accept these connections as evidence of Jesus' divinity without questioning their historical or textual validity. Yet, when we examine the methods used by Eusebius, it becomes clear that the story of Jesus as the fulfillment of prophecy was as much a product of human design as it was a matter of faith. Eusebius's writings left an indelible mark on Christianity, shaping its doctrine, practices, and historical narrative in ways that continue to influence the faith today. His role in crafting a version of Christianity that aligned with imperial power and orthodox theology ensured that his narrative would dominate, while competing perspectives were marginalized or erased. One of Eusebius's most significant contributions was providing a historical framework that justified Christianity's alliance with the Roman Empire. By portraying Constantine as a divinely chosen ruler, Eusebius created a theological foundation for the close relationship between church and state, a relationship that would define Christianity for centuries. Constantine's conversion and support for the church were depicted not as political maneuvers, but as the fulfillment of God's plan, a narrative that helped legitimize the church's growing influence. This blending of religion and politics had profound consequences. By aligning with imperial power, the church gained resources, authority, and protection, but it also meant that Christianity became an institution concerned with maintaining power and control, often at the expense of its original teachings. Eusebius's narrative set the stage for this transformation, framing the church's rise as inevitable and divinely ordained. Eusebius's emphasis on orthodoxy also played a crucial role in shaping the future of Christianity. His works provided the justification for excluding alternative texts and interpretations, ensuring that only one version of Christianity would survive. This process of marginalization wasn't just about theological purity, it was about control. By defining what was and wasn't Christian, the early church could consolidate its power and suppress dissent. The suppression of alternative narratives extended beyond Eusebius's time. For centuries, texts that offered different perspectives on Jesus and his teachings were hidden, destroyed, or labeled as heretical. The discovery of the Gnostic Gospels at Nag Hammadi in the 20th century revealed just how diverse early Christianity was, and how much of that diversity had been erased by the efforts of figures like Eusebius. Eusebius's influence wasn't limited to his own era. His works became foundational texts for later Christian historians, theologians, and leaders. By presenting a cohesive and triumphant narrative of Christianity's origins, Eusebius ensured that his version of history would be the one taught and accepted for centuries. Even today, much of what we think we know about early Christianity is filtered through the lens of Eusebius's writings. However, modern scholarship has increasingly questioned Eusebius's methods and motives. Historians now recognize that his works were not objective accounts, but carefully constructed narratives designed to serve specific purposes. This awareness has led to a re-evaluation of early Christian history, uncovering the complexities and contradictions that Eusebius sought to hide. Despite these criticisms, Eusebius's legacy remains profound. His work demonstrates the power of storytelling in shaping history and influencing belief. By crafting a narrative that aligned with the needs of his time, Eusebius ensured that Christianity would not just survive, but thrive as the dominant religion of the Roman Empire. The story of Eusebius is a reminder that history is often written by those in power, and that what we accept as truth is often a carefully curated version of events. By examining his methods and motives, we gain a deeper understanding of how Christianity became what it is today, and how narratives, once established, can shape the course of history.